A new week is upon us here, and we had a fun comedy, action, horror, gory type movie come out with Cocaine Bear. Last of Us had their DLC type episode with Left Behind. I got a chance to watch most of the new season of Netflix's Drive to Survive, and I also popped in and got the Screen Guild Actors Awards, which I'll talk about more as it may affect the Oscars. That'll be my last topic, but man, what a fun week it was for entertainment, at least for me. We started off with Cocaine Bear, which I will go into more here in a second, but was a huge happy surprise for me. Not too much of a surprise. I kind of hoping it was going to be what it was, and it gave me exactly what I wanted at a great theater crowd. A lot of laughs in our theater. Everybody seemed to have a good time. I know it's mixed with some other people, but at least for my theater, it worked out very, very well. A lot of laughing, happy individuals. We had the new Last of Us episode that debuted last night. I'll go into my thoughts on that. I'll go into most of my thoughts on Drive to Survive Season 5, the Formula One show on Netflix. And I'll also talk about the Screen Actor Guild Awards, which had a very big statement made for a movie just about everything, everywhere, all at once. But we're going to get started out here with Cocaine Bear. This was a movie that I kind of got to see on Thursday night. I was excited to go and see it. I was looking forward to having a comedy, just a very, basic, lowbrow comedy movie. And for me, the movie lived up to that. I think it had a lot of different stories, which I think if you were only going for the idea of the Cocaine Bear, you might have got a little upset, you might have got a little bored with, but I thought it did a good job bringing a bunch of characters together, a bunch of diverse characters together. I love the jokes that we had running between the sheriff with he had a joke going on, the joke with the park ranger and where she was coming from, I thought was really funny. The kids, I really thought was funny and enjoyed. The bear was the big standout overall. Drug dealers who lost the cocaine that were trying to get it. We also had a fun little story. It got a little whimsical and a little bit over the top at the end in most of the movie per se, but I had a blast. I was a lot of laughing, a lot of moments I wasn't expecting to laugh at and delivered at. I will say this was a movie for me that gave me better laughs in the theater than on the trailer. And don't get me wrong, those trailer beats are still there in the movie and are still very funny, but there is a few scenes that are just out loud, just laughing even more than I could have imagined. Especially this one scene with the park ranger, where she does something and it wasn't expected, but when it played, it was just so funny and so great. And the bear itself is a huge star. You can tell it's a CGI bear a little bit, but that didn't bother me that much. It got just enough of the bear on cocaine, all the different attitudes you can get that makes you enjoy it. I liked all the aspects of all these different people coming together and kind of parting their ways afterwards in a much positive way. I don't want to spoil too much about this movie because I think it's one that if you know all the jokes going in, you might not find it as funny. But as somebody who didn't know the jokes going in, I was in a big packed theater. Everybody seemed to be laughing pretty well. People were sticking around for the after credit scenes, which were really funny. It was just a very, very good time. It's not the best movie of the year. It's not the best thing by far. But it's one of the first movies I walked out of this year, and I was just smiling, being like, I had a really good time at the movies. And I kind of missed that because, some other movies like Missing and Woman Talking have been really big standouts for me in quality. Leaving the theater, those are different movies, have different type of feelings. This was the first one that was like purely out there to make me entertained, and it did that full throttle. So that's kind of my thoughts on Cocaine Bear. I know I don't want to go big details, but it's exactly what the movie thinks it is. It can feel slow up at the beginning, but if you buy into those characters and where they're coming from, if you get kind of the jokes that come along with that, I think this is a movie that's just really, really, really well done. And I think it's something that you can enjoy a whole lot. All right. Now we're going to get into Last of Us Episode 7, Left Behind. And this was a flashbacky type episode with Ellie and her friend Riley. And I think the execution of the episode with Ellie and Riley worked very well. I think Storm Reed acted very well beside, next to Bella Ramsey. Storm Reed just talking about Missing, she did a great job in that movie too. I think she, between that movie and Last of Us here, she should be given more opportunity as a young actor to maybe lead a show or be a part of a show or movies of a bigger budget or bigger variety, because she does a great job here as Riley. You get this kind of one night out interaction with Ellie and Riley, and my issues overall wasn't with what happened there. I think the actual connection that these two young ladies showed was really strong. The acting was very, very strong. I generally just think the issue for me is it had no place, in my opinion, mixing up a cliffhanger we had with Joel getting impaled to kind of, you see a little bit of follow up on that in this episode, but this is another flashbacky like episode 3 type episodes where you don't move the basic plot forward. And I know there's a lot of people I've been talking to that have said, oh, it's because Ellie this, Ellie that, Ellie is learning, Ellie is all this. You see more of Ellie, and for me as an audience member, I got everything I knew about Ellie already from all the great ratings she had the last few episodes. I knew she, kind of what was going to happen in this episode. I knew she wasn't going to leave Joel behind, because of what she said in the previous episode. I'm sorry for my camera. People are texting, and apparently that destroys the camera on my phone that I'm using here because it's better quality. And it's just one of those things that I would have put this at the beginning of next season, much like we had Joel and Sarah at the beginning of this season. I think that would have really hammered home a little bit more. I think we could have seen more of what's happening in this, what looked like we'll be getting in the previews next week with the Joel and Ellie scenario. Maybe this was supposed to be like a kind of palate cleanser per se, but it feels very formulaic and it feels very by the numbers. And again, not to say this episode wasn't very good. I really did enjoy it. I just did not like where it was in the end of the season leading into the very last 3 episodes, the last third. It felt like a little bit misplaced, and this could have been placed somewhere else later down the road to really flesh out Ellie's character in a different way a little bit more. Because I feel like all the stuff that will pertain to this season, I kind of already knew from all the dialogue Ellie's given Joel, from the dialogue people gave around Ellie in the very beginning. This wasn't the first time we heard about Riley or bringing up Riley, so I just have very mixed thoughts about it being placed here. Episode by itself is really, really good. I think it just gets hampered because people were expecting something different coming into this week, or even with the previews, people were wanting something different. People, I don't think, wanted to slow down with the story and to have a flashback. I think people really wanted to go forward, and I kind of agree with them with that. But it's still a very strong episode of Last of Us. It has 2 episodes left, so I'm excited to see where it goes moving forward here. Sadly, The Last of Us and the Oscars The Last of Us finale and the Oscars are on the same night, which I was planning to do a live stream of the Oscars, reacting to the Oscars. So it's so weird to have Last of Us also be having its big finale that night. I'll have to tell me below what I should do with that. If I should do a reaction to The Last of Us first and then watch the Oscars, have a big reaction type stream here or not. But let me know in the comments down below if you're seeing this far in and you have a thought. Let me know down below. But after Last of Us, my guilty pleasure show that I found the last year or so, and it's kind of given me a little speak interest, is Drive to Survive on Netflix with Formula One. If you like the car, if you like sports competitives, if you like kind of like drama, a little like behind the scenes type action, the Drive to Survive series provides that pretty well for Formula One. As somebody who doesn't know what Formula One was, it was a great introduction into it and how it works, how, the different team levels are. When you come from things like NASCAR or IndyCar, everybody's getting to win races because the cars are maybe more evened out. You race longer. It's a lot less technical and a lot less money driven. Where in Formula One, it is very money driven. It's very technical, and you have a big gap between all the different cars. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy people fighting where their gaps are. I love seeing, the interactions with Haas, the American team, as me as an American, fighting their way in the midfield. Alpine and McLaren had a great middle of the season burst here in this season of Drive to Survive. You have great drama with Ferrari going throughout. Same thing with Mercedes. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I'm sure it's a lot of it's over dramatized. And if you follow the scene hardcore, you know what's kind of real and what's kind of not. But it's a very entertaining show. I have a few criticisms of it though in here, and I've always thought this going through, but definitely because I kept track of Formula One last year, it's something that now I have even more of a criticism watching the show back because I don't know if this format really helps everything overall. Because I think the episodes that work the best in this season are the ones that follow chronological order to the races. So, my biggest issue with Drive to Survive isn't that they focus on, sometimes teams and individual episodes. It's that we jump up and back between where we are in a season, where we are with races. I think you could make this show to where you go chronologically, like with all your 9 or 10 episodes, where you start from the beginning of the season and you work all your way to the end of the season, and you use storylines that are happening throughout in each of the races to build on episodes and storylines per se. And here, if you see the same race like 5 or 6 times. Like Silverstone is in the middle of the season, while it was a very entertaining race, and it was in the middle of the season, and there's a lot of important things happening around there. It would have been nice to have that, not be featured in like every single episode because it leaves less impact of what happened throughout there. I think you could have told the season of Drive to Survive by just going chronologically. Let's break up, because it's 20 plus races. Just do 2 or 3 races every time around there. Cover the drama that happens each week. And if you get to all the teams, awesome. And if you don't get to all the teams, do your best to try and include the other ones in where you can. I mean, you can only do what you can do. And I just would have liked it if it's better in that format better. I know you want to, really try to make a big overarching plot for each of the teams, and in a way you do make some good content that way, but it would be so much better if you can just understand what's going on in each race, and you understand moving through, and get a sense of where you're at in the season, who's doing well, who's doing not well, things like that. And I know you can get that if you watch the Formula One, all the way through, but not many people who are watching the show, at least in America, probably are getting introduced to that, understand that season. So I think it would work a lot better. I think you would be able to hold viewers out more, and it would make for a better product. But overall, I still am very much enjoying season 5. I'm about over 2/3 the way through. Like I said, the highlight for me so far has been in the middle of the season with McLaren and Alpine having kind of a middle of the season back and forth. And like I said, it works very well because you lead into the before the summer break of Formula One with the drama, and then the next episode with McLaren per se pops out after the summer break. So when it's that chronological order, it just flows better and it feels more natural overall. And that's kind of my thoughts on Drive to Survive. If you watch Drive to Survive, tell me down below. I'm always interested to see people who are part of these type of shows because they don't get as much coverage as the other shows like Last of Us and other things like Outer Banks. I'm not an Outer Banks person. That's a popular show for a lot of younger people. I'm 30 now. Maybe I would like it if I started from the beginning, but I never gave it a chance, so I had to catch up. Maybe I'll do that here one of these weeks. But yeah, Drive to Survive season 5. I've been enjoying. I'll probably finish it up this week when the Formula One season starts. But I wish it would be chronological. That's all. But and finally, I really enjoyed the Screen Actors Guild Awards here. It was on Netflix this week. It was just really, really, really well done in terms of, actors presenting their comedy bits that got out. You gave, people time to speak at awards. Obviously with it being on Netflix and YouTube, there wasn't really any big commercial time periods, but it just felt very smooth. No host needed. Very well just done and executed. A lot of laughs, a lot of great speeches, a lot of great moments. Going over the winners for the movie section, because we had the Oscars in 2 weeks, and I think the Screen Actors Guilds here will throw a wrench in that because Oscar voting, I believe, starts this week. We had 3 big upsets almost. Taking home the Best Supporting Actor in a female role was Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Personally, for me, I would have given it to Stephanie Hsu from that movie, but I think Jamie Lee does another amazing job in it. She gave a wonderful, wonderful speech for that night. The people there loved seeing her win. It seemed like she has the support of a lot of the actors that have been working through the years. As she's never really been recognized for a really amazing, great career. Even though, like, she calls herself a nepo baby, her parents were a part of the industry. She has worked past that and has done things that I think can push past the idea of that. And her role as Deidre in Everything Everywhere All at Once was really, really good. And I wonder, I know Carrie Condon and Angela Bassett have been the two frontrunners, including me, thinking Angela Bassett with my own award, as well as my prediction was going to win the Oscar. I think this throws a big wrench. I think Jamie Lee Curtis now gets put on the radar of some people. I think Carrie Condon has a lot higher chances now if there's a big Banshee base that is kind of hiding. And I think the person, unfortunately, Angela Bassett, she didn't win the BAFTA. That was Carrie Condon. That's the British Actors Film Awards. That was basically the Oscars, but for Europe and Britain. And now not winning the Screen Guild Actors Award. This is the first two times she's kind of lost, but those are two big awards, so it makes you wonder if she's going to be able to bring home the Oscar. And I know there's people who's going to make controversy over that for a lot of different reasons whenever it comes to race. And I think what's hurting it, I think, is the MCU as a whole, is especially with Quantumania, is diving down on the views of the public opinion, and I think it's making voters look back at Wakanda Forever and Weaver on, because the first Black Panther won the Best Ensemble, which is like the Best Picture type award for the Screen Guild's Actors Awards. So yeah, that was the first big surprise of the night. Ke Huy Quan was able to win for Best Supporting Actor for Everything Everywhere All at Once. He's like the biggest acting lock. His speeches are incredible. He's so moving. He's so authentic. He's so innocent. And wanting the best. It's so amazing that we were able to get him in this movie and get him back into this world, because not only was is all of his speech and his story amazing, but I went back and watched this, and you can see this in like episode 4, episode 5 of what I watched this week. But I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once again in theaters, and he's so good in this movie. Michelle Yeoh is up front and center, the leading lady, but he very much is the secondary core in terms of making the story work and making so many different personalities work. He is so amazing in the movie, and I cannot wait in a couple weeks. He better win the Oscar, because I think he very much deserves it, and I don't think there's anybody in the supporting actor category even close to his class and performance. The next big, I think, shock for people was, again, Everything Everywhere All at Once seems to have the Screen Actors Guild very much liking it, because they also awarded Michelle Yeoh the Best Actress award over Cate Blanchett for Tar. And I very much am happy to see Michelle Yeoh back in the running. I know she won a Golden Globe. Her and Cate Blanchett were separate. Cate Blanchett won the BAFTA, but now her coming in and winning this Best actress role in the Screen Guild's the Screen Actors Guild, and had another very good speech. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once, it won the Producer Guilds this weekend. I think it won the Directors Guilds a couple weekends ago. It's building a lot of momentum heading into voting season for the Oscars. This movie very clearly, I think, is steamrolling its way to the best picture win, and I think as it's doing that, it's bringing a lot of other people with them, and I think Michelle Yeoh has a great chance to get that Oscar in a couple weekends. I still think Cate Blanchett is the betting favorite in Vegas, and I think it wouldn't surprise me if she won, but I am pulling for Yeoh. I would love to see her get the nod here. Not to say Blanchett doesn't deserve it for Tar, she definitely does, but this is a 2-horse race, and it is an exciting one. I would be like jaw dropped if somehow Blanchett or Yeoh don't win this, but this is a heavyweight battle these next 2 weeks to see who's going to win the Oscar for Best Actress, and how much is Everything Everywhere All at Once, is how many wins is it going to pick up, because it's been steamrolling almost all of the awards but the BAFTAs, and I'm starting to wonder if this is going to go into the Oscars, and it's going to be a historic performance of wins as well. The Best Actor category, again, we've had Colin Farrell and Austin Butler kind of be the big 2-horse race, and Brendan Fraser for The Whale came in here and picked up the Actors Guild Award for Best Actor, had another amazing speech right before Oscar voting season. He now has a big win on his belt. Colin Farrell has lost out at the BAFTAs, where he's kind of on home turf to Austin Butler, who played Elvis. Now he lost out in the Screen Actors Guilds to Brendan Fraser. So it almost makes you wonder. It feels like he's almost out of this race. It feels like Banshees peaked during the nomination portion, but it's kind of fallen off favor with a lot of these award contenders in other places. It didn't even win Best Picture at the BAFTAs. That was the All Quiet on the Western Front. So it's very interesting there. Very interesting. Again, Brendan Fraser, I think this puts him, Austin Butler, and Colin Farrell into a three-horse race for Best Actor. It's going to be interesting to see which one of those three win this race. Again, very excited to have Oscar night and not know what's going on, except for Ke Huy Quan, who, generally speaking, is the one person you want to win out of all the nominees the most, because he is so good at these acceptance speeches. He was so good in the movie. He deserves the award. It's so great to see that all the other acting races are up in the air, and that who knows what's going to happen. And finally, the ensemble cast, which is like the Screen Actors Guild's Best Picture. No surprisingly, 3 of the 4 categories for acting went to them. Everything Everywhere All at Once won. And this movie, it won the Producers Guild this weekend. I think it won Directors Guild a little while ago. I know that it won the BAFTAs, but everything here based in America that are kind of similar based to the Oscars, it is picking up win after win after win after win. And this movie, I really, really do enjoy it. It feels so different than what we get from Oscar-type movies. It's deep, but it's also entertaining. It's funny. It's going outside the wall. It's not like a cookie-cutter award season movie. It's very American at heart, but also very, Asian representation there in a very authentic way that doesn't feel like you're trying to make it stereotypical and make people only watch it for that side of it. It's just a very good story, very well made movie, and I'm looking forward to the Oscars. I will be surprised if Everything Everywhere All at Once doesn't win the Oscar. And what I find amazing for that is it's a movie that came out April last year. So it's almost a year since it's been released. And now in award season, it's proving to be this juggernaut winner. Usually with award seasons, if you put good movies out like The Northman and Everything Everywhere All at Once early on, you get forgotten about when it comes to award season because they want the new and fresh stuff. Not this year. Everything Everywhere is winning everything. Everything Everywhere is leaving its mark. And we have 2 weeks to the Oscars, and I cannot wait to see how many awards it brings home, both in screenwriting, directing, acting, all the anything that's nominated for. It's going to be interesting to see if this movie keeps piling up wins. But that's what I watched this week. I really did enjoy the Screen Actors Guild. I feel like they really did a good job moving it fast. They covered a lot of categories. They had a lot of funny bits. The best presenters of the night were Aubrey Plaza and Jenna Ortega. I didn't realize it until I saw them next to each other. I'm like, oh my God, these two are the same type of vibes. They have the same eye-type features. They have that same mysterious, cold, quiet type tone. And their bit and joke was really funny, and it makes me think Netflix, Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount. You need to find a way to get these two into a movie together, because I think it will be gold with their chemistry just based off that interaction alone. But that's going to be it for this week. What did you guys watch this week? Tell me your thoughts down below. Subscribe if you would like. I'll see you next time. And until then, have a great week. Peace.